11, 2023, and this meeting is for our LJ real estate agents, and we're going to go over interest rates, what's in the market, and we're definitely going to talk about more in details about the commission structure that we have been seeing. Um, there's been a lot of debates going on, so we're going to talk about that. How will the buyer's agent get paid if the listing agent is not offering anything to you guys? So big changes with MLS and everything, so we're going to talk about it. If you guys have any questions, concerns, unmute yourself or just put it in the chat box and I'll try to cover that as soon as possible. If you guys have any trouble hearing me or cannot see my screen, or if you just see my face, just let me know, okay? Because throughout this, we're going to go through a slideshow. Okay. Good morning, Tracy. All right, started. So the interest rates were not in our favor as of last week. They went even higher. So according to Freddie Mac, they were at 7.49. That was the national averages for Freddie Mac. But we follow Mortgage News Daily, and we saw that it come down a little bit, about 19 basis points from its all-time high that we have seen over the last 52 weeks high, which was 7.81. So it went down a little bit. So your clients, when they're looking at the interest rates, they might get this, or they might get a little bit lower if they buy down, or they get might a little bit higher, depending if their credit score is not in the best shape, right? If they're going with FHA, they might get even lower credit scores. Their interest rate of 7.10. Again, these are national averages. So if you have a loan around $500,000, okay, so if you have a loan for $500,000, just your principal and your interest payment is $3,500, right? On top of that, your taxes and your insurance, this can go up to around $4,500. So you have to know that your clients are going through a lot when it comes to their mortgage payment. They're going to be locked into this for next 30 years. So they're definitely going to, think twice, more than twice, just to see which loan option they're going to go with. Okay. So these are your national 30-year averages for last 3 months. So we said forget about going back many, many years. Let's just go with last 3 months. Just within last 3 months, people who were debating, this could be your clients that were in KV Core and they were not fully ready to purchase 3 months ago. They're going through even deeper trouble, or at least deeper, more dilemma after 3 months. What happened in 3 months? We saw on the lower end of 6.8. Now we're seeing on 7.8, right? So they have seen 1% increase in the last 3 months, and the trend is not stopping anytime soon. Okay. And what does that do to the buying power, right? So when the interest rate goes from 7.25 to 8%, your buying power decreases. If your income is still the same, right? It's not going to jump overnight. Your down payment, you're not going to have more savings right away, right? You have your savings over the years. Now, all of a sudden, your buying power is going to decrease. How much does it decrease? Really depends on what interest rate that you get. So let's say you're at 7.25, you can probably purchase a house that's around $600,000. So now, if that same person is going to get 8% interest rate, right, that's 75 basis point higher, they can afford $558,000. So you can see around $42,000 difference in affordability. So when the interest rates are going higher and higher, your affordability goes lower and lower. So what does that mean? So if you're showing a property to someone that was like, we just mentioned 3 months ago, pre-approval, it's not going to be accurate now. Or especially when you're putting an offer, they're going to have issues with that because their affordability went lower. Okay. And we're expecting this around between 7.5 to 8% for quite some time until next year, and see how that goes. Okay, moving away from interest rates, now these are your news. One of them, it says call to end the rate hike. So every 6 weeks, the Fed is trying to increase the interest rates so the inflation can go down. But now, looking at these numbers, they're debating should they do another hike or not. They said that before end of this year, the Fed will raise, a couple of basis points. We don't know when, if they will do that or not. Now, looking at the numbers, we will see if they make those adjustments or not. Okay. Another headline in the news was that New York City is eliminating your credit checks. So when we have someone that is trying to rent out a place, and they have a voucher. The landlord is saying, hey, I'll accept the voucher, but I need to pull their credit checks, I need to do this and that. They're saying that you are not allowed to do this anymore, right? As long as they're getting payment from the government, they're getting that helping hand, they shouldn't be doing credit checks on those. So especially of those you who are in the rental side, you want to pay attention to this. That's the new law now. Okay. Couple of other headlines in here was that mortgage rates overtake home prices as main concern. Like I said, the clients of yours are in deep dilemma because their interest rates are higher. The home prices are not coming down. They simply don't know if this is the best time or not. We can tell them, hey, you're going to build equity over the years, but they're going to look at all these articles that they see online and they're just going to have hard time making that decision right now. And we just got to simply understand that, right? And there's some Americans moving with parents, with their siblings to afford a home. They want to purchase a house, they simply can't do it on their own. They need a helping hand. That could be their parents or their brothers and sisters, right? And we definitely saw that the rates jumps to 7.49. We see that it's even higher now, right? And buyers lost purchase power. As we mentioned, the higher the interest rate, the lower their buying power it is, right? But I hope that springs, there's a listing bump. We're expecting more inventory. We hope that more inventory comes because the sellers simply didn't want to sell before, right? Because the interest rates are so high. And they say, hey, if I want to get rid of my old mortgage and I'm going to go with the new one, it has to make sense. But if they haven't been coming down for quite some time, and if you have to sell, guess what? You're going to make that decision of listing that property eventually because you have to make that move, right? If you don't have to, if you guys are realtors and you own a property, do you think you want to sell right now? Probably not, right? For those same reasons. Okay. Next was that there was another interesting article here that are sellers required to reveal that's haunted, if it's a haunted house or not, if there's any paranormal activity, right? That can really creep out your buyers. Majority of these listing agents will always recommend that, hey, don't put anything negative about the property. We're trying to sell this. We're trying to get the best price possible for you. So we don't want to put any negativity on that. People who have done this, they sell, according to this article, it's like I have seen homes sell for less than half their value after historical facts are revealed. Exactly for this reason, people don't want to disclose all the negativity there for that property because they want to sell that house. But if you know anything about their information, you should disclose it. Right? Simple as that. You want to go the route, that's the right route. That's the, most ethical part. You want to anything that you have the knowledge of and your client is telling you, hey, you can put it, you want to put it. You don't want to tell them, hey, let's not do this because you're going to lose value. Do the right thing. Okay. uh, would be home buyers, right? They're basically thinking again and again, financially and emotionally, should we buy or not, right? Sometimes you have to get a co-signer. Someone wants to be the helping hand. Hey, I'm going to help you out, and I'm going to help you out, and I'll co-sign for you. They're getting into a lot. So let's talk about the pros and cons if you were to co-sign for someone. It could be someone that maybe you want to be a co-signer for someone, or maybe you need someone to co-sign for you. What are some pros and cons to them, right? So let's talk about the pros first. That if you get a co-signer, there's a higher chance of approval because you have another co-signer in there. They have their income, of course. You're gonna have a higher chance of approval. Second is that maybe you need a larger house. Maybe you can only afford $400,000 property, and you bringing on this co-signer, all of a sudden you can purchase 650, right? Just to give you an example. So when that case comes, you would probably want to get a co-signer for yourself, right? You want better terms with your lender, you probably want to get a co-signer as well, right? So these are some pros of getting it. And how about some cons, right? What are you really getting into? It could be you. Let's say you want to help someone else. You're going to be financially responsible for that property, for that loan, right? So you want to make sure that you know what you're getting into. And how about if the person cannot make these payments, right? It can really strain your relationship with them. You can have issues with them. Hey, maybe you guys are best of friends and, maybe family member, and then all of a sudden your relationship break because of this property, and the owner cannot make those payments on time, right? There's definitely risk to the co-signer. And when the time comes, maybe let's say you want to give them a helping hand for a year or two, how are they going to get your name out? They have to refinance, right? And for some reason, if they cannot refinance on their own, guess what? You're still going to be stuck with that, right? So you have to know what are you guys getting into. So you simply can't say, hey, if someone asks you, hey, what are some pros and cons of co-signers? You should list the following that we mentioned. You can definitely get a higher chance of approval, but there's a huge financial responsibility to you. And if the co-signer's credit, your co-signer's credit can be negative affected if you have late payments or if you default on that loan. Okay. Again, it's just not a matter of just signing a paper or two. There's a lot that goes into it. So if someone asks for a co-signer, tell them to think twice before they co-sign for someone. Okay. And to know that there's a lot of files that people actually co-sign for each other and nothing goes wrong. But you guys should know the pros and cons and educate your client. Okay. Next, let's look at these stats here. I saw this chart it was pretty interesting. So the red line here, these are your mortgage rates. Okay. This teal line here, this is your existing home sales. So let's look at what is going on right now in 2023 here, right? So the red line here is older on the top, above, close 7%, and then you have your existing home sales on the lower end, right? So if the interest rates are going higher, there's going to be less sales, right? On the other hand, here, when there was more sales here, the interest rates were really low. Supply and demand type thing here. Okay. So again, we will share all these slides with you guys. If you guys want to post this online on social media, you're more than welcome to do so. Okay. Next, let's look at your queen stats here. This is in September of 2023 here. Your national selling price was 957 and your average original listing price was about a million and 23. So you're looking at around $60,000, $70,000 in difference from the original listing price. Again, in today's market, the way it is, if you have a solid buyer and you're showing them on a regular basis, and you're about to put in an offer, you can definitely go on the lower end and see how that rolls out and how that plays out. You can negotiate that if possible, but just don't start on the high end and then see what happened there. Start off the low end and see if you can make that deal happen. Okay. Supply and demand here. The inventory actually increased less than a percentage, right? Not a lot, but still is a positive thing. But the demand decreased about half a percentage as well. When there's higher interest rates, there's going to be less buyers that qualify. Okay. But this was pretty interesting to me here for your Nassau prices here. Since January here, your average was around $700,000. Around June and July, it went down a little bit, right? A few $1,000s, but your Nassau's average is still $700,000, right? The showings overall decreased, and we have seen it with your own clients, right? There's less people want to show out there and everything, but all the closing that our office is doing right now, majority of these closings, because these people were renting, they wanted to buy a house and they needed to make that move right now, right? The buyer's agent, even if there's slower showings there's less showings there, they're still putting in those offers and trying to make things happen, right? Just don't give up on your client. When you have a client and they want to see the property, show them as soon as possible. They want to put in an offer right away, right? You want to do this instant. You want to be, within an hour or two, you should be making an offer instead of waiting a day or two. Okay. And why would a client stick with you, right? Why would there's so much going on with the market and everything? Why would someone wants to stick with you? If you want them to stick with you, you should be doing the following, right? Number one is that you want to establish some trust. You want to build relationship, right? You want it. Number two is going to be you educating them. You're not selling them anything, right? You want to educate them. What can you guys really educate on them? One thing I love about our agent, Mr. Ali here, is like anytime he has a client, I have seen a million times now, that he brings them to the office and he goes through the whole 9 yards with them. Hey, I'm going to spend half an hour with you and I'm going to go through the whole 9 yards with you, and this is what you're going to be expecting. When you're educating them without asking them for anything in return and you're not selling them anything, you're simply educating them, guess what? They put a lot of value to that, right? When you're putting a lot of value, then you can ask for commission. You can ask for this and be like, hey, I am there to educate you. I'm there to help you out every step of the way, right? So that goes a long way. So I hope most of you guys can have a presentation. It doesn't have to be on an iPad. It doesn't have to be on a computer. It could be on a printouts. Have we have something like this here, if you guys can see here, right? And just talks about steps. So if someone is sitting next to you and you can give them a copy of that and you give them your business cards, trust me, they're gonna say, hey, I spoke to so many other agents, but nobody went through in details as this person did, right? So you really want to stick out, educate them. Okay. Next is going to be you following it with your CRM. Let's say you add them today. There's no way they're going to be under contract next week or so. It's going to take some time, right? So it's going to take some time there. Okay. So if you want to follow up with your CRM, you have KV Core, and it should help you out much as possible with adding your clients, setting up alerts for them, and making following up with those clients on a regular basis. So that's going to be that. And the last is going to be being patient and actually understanding their situation. Just like how we spoke about it earlier, if the interest rates are so high, the mortgage payment is so high for them, guess what? Maybe some of them just want to wait out a couple of months to see how it goes. They don't want to take your word and say, hey, I want to be under contract today. So maybe you do have to have patience with them and say, hey, I'm going to work with them. Maybe this deal will close for me, but it might take another 3 months or 6 months. So just understand what your clients are going through. Educate them, cannot force them. Okay. All right, guys. Next, we have been speaking about this commission update, right? There's a case going on with VMAX and other companies where the payouts were, in millions of dollars, 55 million for VMAX, and Anywhere company paid up 83 million dollars. Again, simple concept that you guys should understand. The government is saying that we should not require the seller to pay the commission for both sides. Okay, if you guys can understand that part, that's what's going on with these cases. So two of the companies are already settled for millions of dollars. Our NAR, which is our National Association of Realtors, have not given up on that. The case is still going on with them, and we're going to see what the outcome is. Because the cases are going on, MLS simply said, if you're the listing agent and you have a new property, you spoke to your client, which is the owner, and the owner says, hey, I'm only gonna pay Tracy, I'm gonna pay you only 1%. So you sell my house, I'm gonna pay you 1%. So you can legally now put it on the market saying that, hey, I'm getting paid 1%. If you bring in your client, if your client wants to put in an offer, you have to get paid from your client, which is the buyer, right? So the buyers right now are going to be in the panic mode. They don't know if I should pay Rapinder 1%, should I pay Aslam 2%, whatever they're asking. Maybe Hassan is saying I'll charge 1.5%, right? So there's going to be a competition between the buyer's agent as well, right? So if the agent is saying that, hey, I'll charge you 1.5%, and they go with it, that's perfectly fine. Whatever is negotiated between you two guys, the buyer and the buyer's agent, is perfectly fine, right? If I'm in your shoes, I would just tell them straight up, hey, I need to get paid this much. Let's just say 2%. If it happens to be I'm getting paid 1.5 from from the seller side, I'm only charging you zero point 0.5, right? Or some of you guys came out and say, hey, as long as I'm getting paid from the listing side, I'm not charging you anything. Maybe I'll get paid 1%, maybe I'll get paid 2%. On the other hand, some of you guys are saying, hey, I'm going to make a requirement. Whatever you guys negotiate with your buyer is doable. But just know that, there's some buyers will simply run away from you because they don't have that knowledge. They're not keeping up with the news just like how we are. They have no idea what's going on with Remax or anything else, right? We have to educate them. It might take a year for the whole market for everyone to understand this concept. Okay, so again, on MLS, you probably see seller's agent 0%, 2%, 1%. That never mattered to you because you're not the seller's agent. For the buyer, you always looked at what percentage was there, usually 1.5, or 2. Now you can expect to see zero on some of these files or some of these deals, or those properties that's on the market. Okay, questions on that, guys? Right, it affects every one of us. So I've been hearing cases where, someone, this was just yesterday, one of our agents, and the agent spoke to the buyer, told them the situation, and the buyer said, hey, guess what, I'm gone, you don't have to send me anything, I'm going to work with another agent that's not charging me anything. How about now, if the other agent tells them the same thing, then the person will realize that, hey, this is happening, this is for real. Right, until then, until everybody knows about this, it's going to be a little tricky situation for you guys to explain it to them, but you still have to educate them much as possible. Okay, if they go directly to the seller's agent or the listing agent, they're going to still pay them. Okay. Oh man. Okay, sorry about that, my slider went away. Okay, I hope everyone can still see my screen here, guys. Okay. All right, guys. Yep. So the way I would do it, like I said, I can say I can show you as many property as needed, right? Let's say if I show you 10 properties, 8 of them sellers are paying the commission, is listed on MLS. Hey, I'm not charging you anything. You don't pay me anything. But if 2 of them have no commission from the seller side, then I have to charge you 1% or 2%, whatever you guys negotiate. Okay. So that approach, you gotta start talking to your clients. I would have that conversation, especially when you see that listing has 0% on it, and go from there. Next week we're gonna talk about this again because like I said, the case is still going on. If any changes every week, we'll talk about 5 to 10 minutes about this. So make sure that all of you guys are on board with this. Okay. And if you want to get paid from the buyer side, making sure they sign this document. It's in your transaction desk, and on Instanet, it's called Exclusive Transaction Broker Agreement, and you can fill that out and you go from there. As long as they sign this, you should be good. Okay. We have 5 minutes left, guys. Let me see what I can squeeze in here. Your pre-approvals here, like we said, the interest rates are changing so dramatically over the months. Maybe some of these pre-approval that you guys have are not valid. If you see a pre-approval date that's more than 90 days old, you don't want to make it hard for your client, right? You should just simply call the loan officer. Hey, I have this pre-approval from you for this mutual client. I'm about to put in an offer. Do you think this person still qualifies for this offer? I'm about to make an offer for $900,000. You said that this person is qualified for $900,000. Did anything change for them? Right? Maybe the loan officer will say, hey, things did change. Let me look into this file. I'll get back to you in 15, 20 minutes or, by end of the day. So you want to have that conversation with the loan officers. So let's say if you don't have this, the listing agent will definitely have this conversation. When you put in an offer, what do the listing agent does? They look at the offer, they call up the loan officers and say, hey, what's the DTI on this? What's the credit scores like this? What kind of jobs they're doing? So really depending on the listing agent, they go through the whole 9 yards with the loan officers. Why don't you do the same thing before you put in an offer? Okay. Next is going to be auctions, guys. Here, so our office assistant here, she's dropping you guys with the new properties from Property Shark here. There's 2 new properties that's coming. One is on the 12th here, right? And tomorrow, actually at 2 p.m., it's in Valley Stream, right? The property's in Valley Stream. The lien amount is not shown here. I would definitely go see this property, right? Go see it from outside. If you want to go to the auction, or if you can go to the auction, I would highly recommend that you do. It's happening tomorrow at 2 p.m. and this is the location. Simply show up and see what it's all about. See how that works out. So that's your Valley Stream. There's another one, same time, same place. Is going to happen. Is going to be for Elmont, right? And this Elmont's property lien amount is only $160,000. So when they start the bid as 160, you guys will see in the next 5-10 minutes, this price will go to maybe $400,000, right? So how are you guys going to get this experience? By going there. We can give you guys the information to go there, but you guys have to make that decision, right? If it starts at 2 o'clock, maybe go at 1:30, 1:45, and they have parking there, private parking there, and just see what the process is like. Okay. On auction.com, if you guys want to view some properties there, right? Some of you guys are typing in Nassau and There's a Nassau part of New York, and there's a Nassau County. So always type in Nassau County. It should come as a drop down. There's about 76 properties in Nassau County right now that's going on auctions, and you can see this one is in Elmont. Starting bid is or current bid is at 375. Again, if you guys want to be part of these deals, just start paying attention to them. Have an auction.com account and start paying attention, bookmark these properties and see when it actually, the bid is over, what does it go for. Okay. If you guys want to see owned bank owned property in Stratus, very simple. It's in your search, save searches, REO, Queens and Nassau, and click on results. Okay. And I want to highlight this property here. This is going to be almost ready in Leviton. It's listed by our agent Love Jeet here. Single family, 5 bedrooms, 3.5. It's going to be luxury property. It's almost towards the end. The only thing I ask for you guys, even if you don't have a client, go see the property. Right? This is from one of our agents. Ask him the questions. Especially if you're brand new, right? You want to go see the property and ask him any questions that you want, and then you want to promote it on your social media. If it happens to be, if you have a buyer or someone shows interest, you can show them the property and be under contract with them, right? That's how these deals do get done. But you have to be proactive and actually go to these properties and view them themselves. Okay. Another one is listed by Sanjay here. That's in Richmond Hill. And we have another one that there's a price drop in West Hempstead, and you can contact Raj about this. And it was listed for 899, is dropped to 859. So again, see the property yourself. So this way, when your client is saying, "Hey, I'm looking for in West Hempstead," you can say, "Hey, I just saw this property myself. I really like it. Maybe you will too. Let's take a look at it." Right. So you want to do those things, guys. Okay, I have plenty more slides, but we're just short on time. I apologize. There was a delay in the meeting today. Will not try to make this happen again. But any questions, concerns on the last minute, guys? Here. Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Those off market deals that Aslam has put up, I don't have them on here, Aslam. We're just short on time, but we'll share them again with you guys. Again, it doesn't matter how are these people. Some people question how are they getting these deals. Doesn't matter as long as you have a buyer and you can be part of the transaction. Be part of the transaction. As simple as that. So Aslam will definitely share those again. Sukman will do that by end of today. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. Definitely. Sounds good. All right, no problem. All right, guys. Yes. Yes, Gene. Yep. Yeah, I can hear you. Do you need to take what class? No. No, no, those are anything additional. Yeah, all those they make you look good. You learn something from them, so there's no harm in getting any of those courses. It could be the listing side, it could be the buying side, it could be the commercial side. All of these courses that's implemented or given by MLS, they're all good. Really depending on which field that you want to be in. We have one agent that she was on the sales side, and now she's want to be in the commercial side, taking all these courses and learning a lot. So you guys can do the same thing. Okay. All right, guys. So yeah, we got to get going now. I'll see you guys next week. You guys take care. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Take care. Yeah. Bye. You're welcome. Take care, guys.